Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Formula for Success and Wealth channel, where you learn how to build wealth and live smart. People who struggle financially often lack the skills to both earn and hold on to money. If they didn't, they wouldn't be struggling. This may not be pleasant to hear, but it's the reality. Today, you're going to uncover answers to questions you didn't even realize you had. But for that to happen, you need to be brutally honest with yourself and push emotions aside. Let's get into 15 crucial truths about money that often escape the awareness of those stuck in financial hardship. If you start your own company, you can drastically reduce or even eliminate how much you pay in taxes. This isn't some hidden secret. It's a legal benefit. Businesses don't get taxed on the total income they generate. They get taxed on what's left after deducting operational costs. If your company spends its revenue on purchases and services that support the business, that spending is counted as an expense, and the remaining taxable amount shrinks. That's why entrepreneurs pour millions into things like private jets. They count as business tools when they facilitate client meetings. Fuel, meals, travel, all can be deducted. This principle creates a massive difference between how individuals and corporations are taxed. The average American hands over about 27% of their income, Europeans even more. But corporations? Often somewhere between 0% and 3%. People don't think about this, but owning a business opens doors to advantages that most workers never even see. When it comes to making money, it's not about how hard you work. It's about how well you build and run systems. Wealth is created by setting up efficient, repeatable processes that turn input into cash. Many people believe the only way to earn money is to swap hours for pay, but this view is limited. Let's say you work at a lemonade stand. You're part of the system, but you're not the system. The owner of the stand puts together everything: the recipe, the materials, the seller, the transportation of goods, even the suppliers. You're simply one cog in a much larger mechanism. Generally speaking, the employee receives $1 for every $10 in value they produce for the person who owns the setup. Owning and solving the entire system earns far more than simply playing your part in it. Unless you discover how to earn money while you're not actively working, becoming wealthy will remain out of reach. This is crucial. If your income is tied directly to your time, there's a limit to how much you can make. Even if you dedicated every waking hour to work, you'd still hit a ceiling. You shouldn't be the one constantly grinding to create income. Your focus should be on building something that earns while you sleep. The reason solving business systems matters so much is because it frees up your time. Let's break it down. You sleep for 8 hours, work for another 8, and commute for maybe 2. That leaves just 6 hours to take care of everything else: meals, personal development, relationships, relaxation, and that's not enough. People end up cutting back on the very things that give life meaning. If you spend every day on repeat, wake up, clock in, pay bills, sleep, are you really living? It doesn't take more effort to earn $1 million than it does to earn 50,000. That might sound absurd, but once you understand how financial systems work, it becomes obvious. It took us a long time to accept this, but a mentor once told us something that completely changed our thinking. You're doing incredible work. It's just too bad you're applying it in the wrong place. The same skill set that earns you a few thousand per month can easily generate tens of thousands if you just shift your focus. For instance, you could spend all day selling phone subscriptions and make $2,000 a month, or use the same sales skills in real estate or luxury cars and bring in $20,000. The steps are the same, but the payoffs are dramatically different. Ideas have no real value until they're brought to life. Everyone has a great idea or two. Talk to anyone on the street and they'll probably have $1 million idea they're convinced could change the world. But what they don't realize is that an idea without action is meaningless. Your idea is only as good as your ability to follow through. Think of an idea as a multiplier. No matter how brilliant it is, if your execution is zero, the result will still be zero. On the other hand, if you take an average idea and execute it exceptionally well, that's where success begins. Execution always wins. That's how Google overtook Yahoo, how Facebook outpaced MySpace, why TikTok thrived where Vine failed. McDonald's didn't invent burgers. They just built the best system to sell them. This explains why Starbucks continues to dominate the coffee industry. Making a latte isn't a billion-dollar concept, but the way it was brought to life, that's what made the difference. Success lies in being able to perform consistently at a high level over long periods. And really, don't overlook the part about time. It matters. Most projects people begin are terrible in the beginning. What makes the difference is how long you're willing to keep going. Next point. Instead of obsessing over cutting expenses, turn your attention to increasing your income. People with limited means often spend hours clipping coupons or hunting for tiny savings. But a penny saved isn't equivalent to a penny earned. It's still just a penny. And honestly, do we even use pennies anymore? Whether your time is worth $11,000 an hour or $750, why are you wasting 2 hours driving to 3 different stores just to save $10 on detergent? That's a poor use of time. Some individuals spend absurd amounts of effort trying to trim personal expenses when that same effort could be invested in boosting their income. If you're working for minimum wage and have hours to spare chasing supermarket deals, then you have time to watch Excel tutorials on YouTube and pick up a new skill that triples your earning potential. Instead of shrinking your life around expenses, use that energy to grow your value. The logic is simple. There's a limit to how much you can cut. Once you've cut everything possible, that's it. You can't cut more. You've trapped yourself at the bottom, and there's no upward movement because you built your life around shrinking numbers. Here's another important one. Earning $100 through passive income holds more value than making $1,000 through active work. It sounds counterintuitive, but let's break it down. That $1,000 depends entirely on your presence, your ability to show up, close deals, and handle work. But the $100, that arrives no matter what. What if you get into an accident, fall ill, or can't perform? Passive income. And keeps coming. It also gives you back your time. Here's a wild thought. Making $40,000 a year in passive income is actually more valuable than earning $200,000 from a full-time job. A $200,000 salary ties you to a schedule, demands your focus, and comes with a high level of stress. You're probably stuck at a desk, in an office, in a city you can't leave. But with $40,000 passively earned, you could live anywhere and have complete control over your time. Want to learn tango? Go for it. Interested in beekeeping? Why not? Finally writing that book or spending time with your kids, nothing's stopping you. The value of passive income multiplies because it gives you back your time. More than half of your earnings should go into investments. If you're only saving 5% or 10%, escaping the rat race is almost impossible. You might save enough to handle an emergency, but that won't buy you real freedom. Want a reality check? Wealthy individuals often invest 50% to 90% of what they make. Saving only makes sense if 1, you're already earning a lot and your savings are significant. Like keeping 10% from $1 million income means $100,000. Or 2, if your saving is tied to a clear purpose, like building a 6-month safety net. That's just being smart. But the average American has only about $8,000 in savings. Let's be honest, that won't get you far, especially in a place like the US, where a single medical emergency could wipe out your account. Saving also traps you in a mindset focused on reducing costs. But like we said, there's only so much you can cut. After a while, saving more just means limiting yourself more. Money that's saved is not money that's invested. You don't save to buy a penthouse, you invest and let the returns afford you one. Picture your monthly income is $3,000 and you manage to set aside $250. If that money has no specific direction, what progress are you really making? Something to reflect on. Here's another truth. Making $1 million a year isn't what it used to be. We all grew up thinking that becoming a millionaire was the ultimate goal, that once you had $1 million, you were set for life. That may have been true in the 1960s, and maybe still applies in some parts of the world, but inflation changes everything. Let's use the US as an example. At the start of 2020, there were 1.75 trillion in physical currency circulating. Then, due to the threat of an economic crash during the pandemic, the Federal Reserve printed another $2.3 trillion out of thin air and injected it into the economy. But here's the thing. Value is driven by scarcity. The more money exists, the less each dollar is worth. Every dollar you hold now is worth significantly less than it was just a few years ago. Oh, this gradual erosion of value is called inflation. Each year, new money is printed and the stash you've saved in your shoebox loses purchasing power. That's another reason saving keeps people poor. $1 million today doesn't stretch like it once did. In fact, the spending power of $1 million in 2020 is roughly equal to $250,000 from 30 years ago. Not just due to inflation, but because everything costs more. Real estate, for example, is a great indicator of this. Here's a reason why earning $1 million per year isn't that impressive. Let's say you work for 40 years, from age 25 to 65, and somehow manage to earn $1 million every single year. Even if you didn't spend a dime and inflation didn't exist, you still wouldn't have enough to buy a Rothko painting that sold for $46 million or another masterpiece that went for even more. Sure, here's the rephrased version of your text in English, maintaining the original length and context without AI cliches, summaries, or personal comments, and without breaking it into topics or adding moral lessons, working your entire life and earning $1 million annually, only to discover you still can't afford a canvas with just 2 paint colors. Sounds wild. Yet artworks like that are sold year after year. What this really highlights is how the concept of a lot of money is constantly shifting, and as time passes, the value of what we once called decent earnings is gradually being eroded. Decades ago, earning what is now considered an average income would have placed you among high earners. Wealth doesn't just happen all at once. It's built slowly, like stacking bricks to form a wall. People often have no problem spending $10 to $50 on non-essential things, yet they scoff at the idea of making an extra 10 or 20 bucks, claiming it's not worth it. Ironically, when they have that money, they don't hesitate to waste it on indulgences they could easily live without. What they miss is that passive income can begin with just a small investment. It's not a new concept. One of the easiest ways to generate passive income is by purchasing shares in companies that pay dividends. Platforms like Robinhood, Revolut, or eToro make this accessible. Choose companies that pay out dividends regularly, and you'll receive a portion of the profits. 3 beginner-friendly dividend stocks are Toronto Dominion Bank, Realty Income, and Chevron Corporation, each with reliable yields. The key is to gradually redirect a bit of your spending into dependable dividend stocks. You start small, but over time, your investment grows and you earn alongside the company. Building wealth is no different from building a solid wall. Each small action adds up. Some platforms even offer daily coaching based on foundational life principles, helping users strengthen not only finances but emotional, intellectual, and physical well-being. This consistent effort leads to lasting benefits, and for those ready to move forward, tools are available to accelerate that journey, offering real returns from the very beginning. Now, let's talk about borrowing. Never take on debt unless it directly helps you generate more income. It's understandable that emergencies force people into financial corners, but too many fall into traps set by exploitative lenders. They agree to outrageous terms without fully understanding the agreements, some paying over 200% annual interest just to buy things they don't actually need. For example, if no one is paying you to haul goods, taking out a high-interest loan to buy a truck is not a smart financial move. This problem isn't unique to one country, it's global. In the UK, lenders like the Money Shop and Wonga have charged shocking rates for short-term loans. If you miss the deadline, fees pile up fast. Borrowing can either elevate your position or chain you to debt, and unfortunately, many can't distinguish between the two. Income reflects how effectively you use the resources around you. We live surrounded by technology, yet many overlook how these tools can enhance their value. At one point in time, survival depended on physical effort alone, carrying heavy loads, watching out for danger. Now, machines do the heavy lifting, but you need to know how to use them. Someone who can operate modern equipment is automatically more valuable than someone relying only on manual labor. Consider your smartphone. If you're just using it to scroll through social media, you've overpaid. That device can be a learning tool or a productivity booster, depending on how you use it. The same applies to the internet. Watching random videos or learning a new skill comes down to how you choose to engage. Ultimately, the tools haven't changed. How you use them determines the outcome. Holding on to money is harder than earning it. Many people think making money is tough, yet most have earned and will continue to earn throughout their lives. The real challenge lies in keeping that money. Imagine giving $1 million to 10 different people. Check back in a decade, and chances are none of them will still have that money. Some might even owe more than they were given. Making money is no secret. You either provide a service or sell a product. The trick is in how you handle that money once it's yours. If you look at the average person nearing the end of their life, they rarely have much to show for all their years of work. Perhaps a modest home and an aging car. On average, people manage to retain only a tiny portion of the wealth they've generated. The rest disappears in daily consumption. Meanwhile, entrepreneurs take a different approach. They surround themselves with skilled individuals who help grow their wealth. This reflects a fundamental divide in thinking. While one group seeks comfort and job security, the other focuses on building lasting financial independence. One major principle of that second mindset is recognizing the value of being hard to replace. Here is the rephrased version of your text in English, maintaining the original length, context, and meaning without plagiarism, AI jargon, commentary, or summarization. The more irreplaceable you are, the more value you bring to the job market. If you specialize in a specific skill, your earnings will likely reflect that expertise. However, wealthy individuals tend to view things differently. They don't measure success through wages. Their focus is on profit, what's left after all. Operational costs and salaries are covered. When you really think about it, it begins to make sense. A paycheck may cover your daily expenses and some comforts, depending on your skill level, but it's the profits that offer real independence. This is the reason why those with top academic scores often find themselves employed by those who didn't excel in school. High achievers are trained to follow rules and complete tasks exactly as instructed. But what isn't openly discussed is that the educators guiding them often aren't as financially successful as they seem. In numerous regions, a skilled tradesperson earns more than a teacher. You weren't told this because you were encouraged to believe academic achievement equates to success. Meanwhile, the so-called average students were out learning how the system really works, creating the businesses that the top students aim to join. Here's something not widely known about the education system. Only a quarter of your tuition. Fees go toward the instructors. The majority of the money funnels up to trustees managing massive endowments at elite universities. Though these institutions are labeled as non-profit, they still offer enormous compensation packages to their executives. For example, Harvard's former head of real estate made over $10 million annually, and several board members earn more than $5 million a year despite not teaching at all. To feel financially secure, it's essential to have at least 3 distinct income channels. Most people interpret this as holding down 3 jobs, which reflects their limited understanding of income diversity. To stay resilient during economic shifts, you need more than just one paycheck. Take Alex Inc. as an example. Revenue comes from aid placements on videos, partnerships with sponsors, sales of digital learning products, merchandise, even if that's a modest stream, and royalties from licensing content across various platforms. On top of that, there's the Alex app, and a book is on the way, set to open another revenue stream. Personally, earnings also come from wages at Alex, dividends from the company, rental profits, shares in other tech companies yielding returns, and capital gains from an expanding investment portfolio. So why does this matter? Because if one income dries up, others can help cushion the impact. Your mission over the next 5 years should be to develop at least one income source that doesn't require your active involvement. Mastering this will shift your entire outlook on what's possible. Now ask yourself, which of these ideas struck a chord? Surely something sparked a new perspective. And here's a little extra insight for those still reading. The key to progress lies in monitoring. If you don't measure something, you can't improve it. This doesn't mean obsessively tracking every cent or second, but rather paying attention to what matters. Want to lose weight? Record your meals and weight changes. Want to earn more? Track your monthly income. Trying to cut spending? Document your daily expenses. Once it's on paper, you can evaluate whether your actions are making a difference. Most people, doctor, if to long, hoping things will improve by chance. But the truth is, nothing changes unless you do. Eat smarter, learn more, earn better, use time wisely. As a business leader, it's not enough to evaluate overall performance. You must also monitor your team, the product quality, and seek constant refinement. None of this is achievable without regular reviews. If your situation hasn't improved compared to last month, you're moving in the wrong direction. Building wealth is a numbers game. As Jay-Z famously said, numbers don't lie. The scoreboard reveals who's truly advancing. If you've stuck with us to the end, it means you're part of the Alex community. Drop the word money in the comments so we can recognize you. We'll catch you again soon. Until then, be well. The more irreplaceable you are, the more value you bring to the job market. If you specialize in a specific skill, your earnings will likely reflect that expertise. However, wealthy individuals tend to view things differently. They don't measure success through wages. Their focus is on profit, what's left after all. Operational costs and salaries are covered. When you really think about it, it begins to make sense. A paycheck may cover your daily expenses and some comforts, depending on your skill level, but it's the profits that offer real independence. This is the reason why those with top academic scores often find themselves employed by those who didn't excel in school. High achievers are trained to follow rules and complete tasks exactly as instructed. But what isn't openly discussed is that the educators guiding them often aren't as financially successful as they seem. In numerous regions, a skilled tradesperson earns more than a teacher. You weren't told this because you were encouraged to believe academic achievement equates to success. Meanwhile, the so-called average students were out learning how the system really works, creating the businesses that the top students aim to join. Here's something not widely known about the education system. Only a quarter of your tuition fees go toward the instructors. The majority of the money funnels up to trustees, managing massive endowments at elite universities. So why does this matter? Because if one income dries up, Others can help cushion the impact. Your mission over the next 5 years should be to develop at least one income source that doesn't require your active involvement. Mastering this will shift your entire outlook on what's possible. Now ask yourself, which of these ideas struck a chord? Surely something sparked a new perspective. And here's a little extra insight for those still reading. The key to progress lies in monitoring. If you don't measure something, you can't improve it. This doesn't mean obsessively tracking every cent or second, but rather paying attention to what matters. Want to lose weight? Record your meals and weight changes. Want to earn more? Track your monthly income. Trying to cut spending? Document your daily expenses. Once it's on paper, you can evaluate whether your actions are making a difference. Most people drift along, hoping things will improve by chance. But the truth is, nothing changes unless you do. Eat smarter, learn more, earn better, use time wisely. As a business leader, it's not enough to evaluate overall performance. You must also monitor your team, the product quality, and seek constant refinement. None of this is achievable without regular reviews. If your situation hasn't improved compared to last month, you're moving in the wrong direction. Building wealth is a numbers game. As Jay-Z famously said, numbers don't lie. The scoreboard reveals who's truly advancing. If this message lit a spark in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and start building the life you actually want. Your future is waiting. Go claim it.